you're doing okay. Today I would like to talk about the element of lo-fi, the genre name of lo-fi instead of hi-fi. Music that sounds bad. It's not great sounding music. And it's important to note that at first the whole lo-fi movement was born out of limitations. Imagine yourself, you have no computer and you don't have any money to spend in a proper studio. So what do you do then? Then you go to a less proper studio, a smaller studio with less cool equipment, or you buy a 4-track cassette recorder. That's what I did halfway through the 80s. Getting a 4-track cassette recorder, and you get a lot of hiss and a lot of noise you don't want. And on the other hand, it gives your recordings a lot of character. You could say because of those limitations and because of that hiss and that lack of proper recording technique, which I had when I was 15, 16 years old, it gives the songs, gives the music a certain identity. I think it's harder nowadays to come up with your MacBooks and all your plugins and all your stuff. It's harder to come up with your own identity because everything is possible and it's very easy to make things sound good. It's harder to make things sound bad. In the early years of lo-fi movement, people made music because they couldn't make it any better. So that was the whole thing. Later on, let's say the end of the 80s, early 90s, it became this aesthetic. It became a way of working that a lot of people liked because you get lots of character and you get lots of identity and authenticity ingrained in the music thanks to the hiss and thanks to the bad recordings. And a lot of people, myself included, kind of liked how those bad recordings sounded. So lo-fi became an important part of the musical landscape in the 1990s. When we started in the 1980s, Bruce Springsteen recorded a whole album on a 4-track cassette recorder in 1982 called Nebraska. He recorded that album in hotel rooms. So people could record music at home, which had a big advantage. You didn't have to spend a lot of money. There was no clock ticking, right? Music was at first sounding bad because of incompetence, and later on because of just an aesthetic choice. So a lot of stuff was what we learned here at school was objectively wrong, but as you might know already in your first year, there is no wrong in music. So it became this great way of expressing yourself. And because it didn't cost a lot of money, you could express yourself in the way you wanted to, and you didn't. So we're going to look at a couple of artists that you can categorize as being lo-fi. One of the great fathers of that whole movement was Daniel Johnston. Daniel Johnston had a very rough life. He was plagued by depression and he was psychotic. He was hospitalized numerous times, put on medication. He was not fit for life, so to speak. And he recorded all of his songs at home in a homemade 4-track recorder. and he didn't know how to duplicate his cassette. So he gave a cassette away, and then he had to record all the songs again. And he was a very troubled man, and he was an enormous fan of the Beatles, which kind of shines through his music. We're going to listen to Cody Chestnut. We all know him from the Seed 2.0 with the Roots, but that's from a double album called The Headphone Masterpiece. Also a very cool lo-fi album. We're gonna listen to Sparklehorse, who recorded all of his songs in a barn because he lived in Virginia in the woods with his own crappy equipment. Very wonderful songs. We're going to listen to the Breeders, Kim Deal out of the Pixies with her sister doing their own thing live. Coco Rosie, who recorded their first album in the bathroom of their apartment in Paris. Also two sisters, by the way, Coco Rosie. Pavement, who are kind of like students who don't want to grow up in a way and have a really weird sense of melody and harmony and structure. And we definitely have to listen to Guided by Voices. Guided by Voices, maybe one of my favorite bands of all time. Robert Pollard, he's the songwriter of the band, and he writes like 3 songs a day at least, whenever he feels like it. And he is very productive, and they record really, really fast. Their first albums were recorded on a 4-track cassette recorder and released. But even later on, when they recorded in a proper studio, they found ways to mess up the sound. And the last song I would like to show you is Art of Flaming Lips. And although nowadays the Flaming Lips, you can't call them lo-fi anymore, they had already a pretty long history of crappy recordings before they broke into the mainstream with the album The Soft Bulletin. This is really so just to show you in 20 minutes or so kind of the scope of what the whole lo-fi movement is.
True love will find you in the end. You will find out just who was your friend. Don't be sad, I know you will. But don't give up until true love will find you in the end. This is a promise with a catch. Only if you're looking can it find you. 'Cause true love is searching too. But how can it recognize you unless you step out into the light, the light? Don't be sad, I know you will. But don't give up until true love will find you in the end. 1, 2, 3.
smoke crack back in the day. I used to gamble, rent money and lose. I used to dog the nice ladies, used to swindle friends, but now I'm teaching kids in Sunday school, and I'm not turning back, no turning back, no turning back, no turning back. Too little time, no turning back. 1, 2, 3, no one could sell a lie quicker than I. No one could shift the blame better than me. I used to walk out on my family with an intent to sin, rejecting all accountability. Lord, I'm not turning back, no turning back. Yeah, now, no turning back, no turning back. Yeah, now, no turning back. I listen here, I said, I'm not turning, not turning. I'm not turning, I'm not turning back. I'm not turning, I'm not turning, I'm not turning, I'm not turning back, 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 no turning back, no turning back, no turning back. Too little time, no turning back. Nice and pretty. I used to smoke crack back in the day. I used to gamble, rent money and lose. 1, I used to dog the nice ladies, used to swindle friends. Now I'm teaching them in Sunday school. No turning back, back, back. Nice. Thank you, thank you. And before we leave, you get to join us with those simple words. And it goes a little something like this. Come on. No turning back. No turning back. No turning back. No turning back. Keep on. No turning back.
hospital. I'd walk to hell and back to see you smile on Saturday. You are a star. You are a sea of air. I'll play great keyboards. I'll have horses' teeth on Saturday. On Saturday. I'd like to tell you how I feel. But I'll probably keep it till Saturday. Oh, Saturday. Oh, Saturday. Oh, Saturday. Thank you.
I'll always be by your side. Yes, even when you're down and out, I'll always be by your side. Ooh, yes, even when you're down and out. All I wanted was to be a housewife. Yes, all I ever wanted was to be a housewife. I'll iron your clothes, I'll shine your shoes, or I'll make your bed, and I'll cook your food, you know. Oh, I will never cheat. Be the best girl you'd ever meet, and for a dime, I do this kind of thing 'cause yes, it's nearly midnight, and all I want in my life is to be a housewife. It's to
to one of the greatest bands that ever lived.
Someone tell me why I do the things that I don't want to do. When you're around me, I'm somebody else. Someone tell me why I act like a fool when things don't go my way. When you're around me, I'm somebody else. There is good reason, I guess. Having it once gone too far. When you clean out behind, does it make you wanna cry? Are you still being followed by the teenage FBI? Someone tell me why. Someone tell me why. Someone tell me why I do the things that I don't wanna do. When you're around me, I'm somebody else. Someone tell me why I act like a fool. Things don't go my way. When you're around me, I'm somebody else. There is good reason, I guess. Having it once gone too far. When you clean out behind, does it make you wanna cry? Are you still being followed by the teenage FBI? Someone tell me why. Someone tell me why. Someone tell me why I do the things that I don't wanna do. When you're around me, I'm somebody else. Someone tell me why. Someone tell me why. Someone tell me why. Come on, Tokyo!